What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for March 1st, 2023. Yes, we are officially in March, which means we're starting our sixth month here on this day in Philly sports history. Thank you to everyone who listens every day. We've definitely come a long way and expanded this from what started just randomly one day when I had an idea. But thank you. And March always reminds me too of, and I don't know, maybe this was just my elementary school. Did anybody else do the whole, the elementary teachers, March comes in like a lion, goes out like a lamb with like the coloring sheets and whatnot? Now that I'm in education, I feel as though it was just a way to sort of infuse some current events, maybe even some science. I don't know. Let me know. Is it just me? March in like a lion, out like a lamb? Anyway, quick correction, if I can speak today, correction slash update from yesterday when I was mentioning the Carson Wentz tweet when the guy was like, the offensive coordinator came in and took one look at Carson Wentz and was like, "You're gone." And I couldn't remember his name. It's Eric Bieniemy. He was the Chiefs offensive coordinator. Now he's in Washington. Hopefully, how this guy does not have a job, I don't know. And I don't know what he's done, who has dirt on him, whether or not race is playing a big role in it, which I'm sure it is. But hopefully, going to a new team, having the similar success will help him parlay that into a head coaching job because he certainly deserves it. He's got a great offensive mind. And hopefully, he doesn't make the Washington too good, but hopefully, he makes that like maybe a 1 year he does pretty well. They make a wild card and then he parlays that into a head coaching job. But yes, he does deserve it, but I just wanted to make sure he got his proper due. Eric Bieniemy is the offensive coordinator now for the Washington Commanders. Sticking with the Eagles, and speaking of coordinators, they finally hired their defensive and offensive coordinators. Offensive coordinator, as expected, was their former quarterback coach, Brian Johnson. I like this a lot because it keeps it in-house. Hurts had, and all the guys on offense, really, but specifically he's worked with Hurts and helped him make that leap this year. So I like that he's going to be comfortable with him. Offensively, it's going to be good. On defense, we mentioned yesterday they were having the second interview with Sean Desai, who was the associate coach of the Seahawks. They are announcing him, or they did announce him. He has 1 year of a coordinator experience in Chicago, but his lack of experience is made up for by just the experiences he has working with some of the greater or better defensive minds in the game. I talked about Vic Fangio yesterday. You can look on the Eagles website. They had a nice write-up on him and the guys that he has worked under or has as mentors. So I like this a lot. Mike Pettin was the other one that I think he has good. And Pettin was actually rumored, I read somewhere, he might be getting a job within the Eagles organization, which is pretty cool because he's a local guy. But I like this because hopefully he's young, he's hungry, he's got something to prove, just like how Sirianni is. He's young. And I'm even more hopeful that Desai will be able to make the adjustments, unlike a certain other coordinator who now is the head coach in Arizona. But we will leave that at that. Flyers tonight in action versus the Rangers. Sixers in action tonight against the Heat. Hopefully they're able to make up for the disappointing loss the other night. Speaking of that, be sure to check for Back to the Future. I don't know if I'm going to record it tonight or Thursday night, but we're doing kind of the state of the Sixers and just checking in to see where we are in the process. So be sure to check that out. And also just a couple programming notes. Next week I will be in Mexico. However, you will still get This Day in Philly Sports History every day, albeit it might be from a different location. Sound quality might be different, but I will record every morning. Found out where I'm staying is actually still in the Eastern time zone, so should be relatively consistent. So be on the lookout for that. But also, since it's March, this is now our 6th month of doing This Day in Philly Sports History, which is amazing. So thank you for listening every day. And to be honest, it was just something randomly. I woke up one day and said, I wonder if, and I never thought we'd get to here. So be sure to pass the word, tell your friends, enemies, tell your enemies, friends. If you're a kid listening, because I know sometimes certain dads will listen with their daughters. If you're a kid listening, tell your friends' dads in school today to check me out. All right. So let's go to this day in Philly sports history. We're going to go back to 2014. We talked last month about Allen Iverson during our Black History Month spotlight. But on this day, his number 3 jersey was officially retired by the Sixers, joining Moses Malone's number 2, Dolph Schayes number 4, Dr. J number 6, Mo Cheeks number 10, Wilt Chamberlain's number 13, Hal Greer's 15, Bobby Jones 24, Billy Cunningham's 32, and Charles Barkley's 34, along with Dave Zinkoff's microphone as the numbers and people honored with their names hanging in the rafters at the Wells Fargo Center. We did talk a lot about Iverson, and I'm not going to go into a ton because we all know first round pick in 96 from Georgetown, the 01 MVP, 11-time All-Star, Rookie of the Year in 97, 4-time scoring champ. He was the All-75th anniversary team, Hall of Famer, just one of those guys that he was the perfect player for Philly at the perfect time. The Sixers were so bad for so long going into that. Obviously, he was the number 1 overall pick, but kind of the changing of the guard, getting some of those old terrible players out of there. And I think, like I said, he made the Sixers exciting again. They weren't drawing anything as far as a crowd. And they said that the Wells Fargo Center is the house that Iverson built. And I firmly believe that. I mean, he completely changed what the franchise is. I've talked about it a lot of just how much the Sixers mean to me. I was the guy rocking the Sixers jacket with Clarence Weatherspoon being their best player. So it meant a lot to me for them to have Iverson as their draft pick going into the new era. And it was just a lot of fun. It reminds me a lot or similar to the Phillies back when they were good. It was kind of like must see. Like everybody's watching the Sixers. They were fun to watch. I talked during Black History Spotlight about how he changed the culture of the NBA. He's inspirational. He came back, got caught up in a bad situation when he was in high school, served a little bit of time in jail, but came back and just really turned his life around, so he can serve as an inspiration for everyone. He now is basically an ambassador for the team. They bring him out, show him on the Jumbotron, and it's always fun. So on this day in 2014, Allen Iverson's number 3 officially was hung from the rafters at the Wells Fargo Center. All right, so last month we did have a lot of success, and I received a lot of positive feedback about the Black History Spotlight. March is Women's History Month. There's a lot of great women who've done a lot in Philly sports. So I'm going to do the same thing for all through the month of March. Get some of their names out there that you may not know. So for today, March 1st, our Philly Sports Women's Spotlight, Women's History Month Spotlight, I should say, is Nikki Franke. She was born in New York and attended Brooklyn College, graduated with honors. She fenced there, and she was an All-American. Her senior year, she took 3rd in the National Intercollegiate Women's Fencing Association Championships. 1976, she was an Olympian, fenced in the Pan Am Games in 75 and 79. Won 2 bronze medals as a team player, won the silver in 1975. She was a national foil champ in 1975, 1980. She would have been an Olympian again in 1980, but due to the United States boycott, because I think it was in Moscow. I forget where it was. The Olympics was, but they boycotted based on the stuff that was going on with the Soviet Union and all of that, because they boycotted the Winter Olympics were in Lake Placid, which makes me think that it was somewhere in Russia. But she did receive the Congressional Medal of Honor. But her Philly connection is she started coaching Temple's fencing team in 1972, coached for 50 years before she retired in 2022. She completed her doctorate at Temple. She's the all-time winningest women's athletic coach at Temple with 898 wins, 1992 NCAA champions. They were perennial top 10 in the country, 26 straight NIWFA. That was the National Intercollegiate Women's Fencing Association championships. 48 of her 50 years were winning seasons at Temple. She's produced 35 All-Americans. I actually was friends my freshman year, or not just freshman year, but she lived in Peabody with me. One of the girls, she was on her fencing team, and that's where I learned a lot, I guess, about fencing, was just hanging out and talking with her. Nikki's one of the co-founders of the Black Women in Sports Foundation, which is encourages participation in all aspects of sports for women, specifically Black women. In coaching and administration. We talked about that. So just a huge fixture in the Temple community, just a huge fixture in the fencing community, and a great role model for girls everywhere, specifically in Philadelphia. So shout out to you, Nikki Franke, for all of you who have contributed to Philadelphia sports, as well as women's and Black women's rights, and just pushing them along and providing opportunities for them. On this day, Allen Iverson's jersey, number 3, was retired. We got a new offensive and defensive coordinator in Philly. Hopefully the Sixers will be bouncing back. Be sure to be on the lookout for Back to the Future dropping within the next day or two. Go have yourselves a Wednesday, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.